Searching, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining my light. No one's left behind, in the darkness all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be. For justice wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. Then these crime busters ride, no victims left in pain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voices and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Hello, Ginger Girl. Good to see you. Awesome. Tonight we are going to do a little bit of statement analysis. Looking at the video from Katie, because I don't know about you guys, but her videos a year later, I don't know, we're kind of hello, Anita. I would advise you to watch your words. But her, I wasn't sure what to think with her interviews, right? So, I thought, well, the best way to do it, and I'm wanting to hear from Deception Detective. As far as I know, he still has not put anything out yet. And so I thought, well, Mike the Man has put something out, and we'll listen to him. Hello, K9. Good to see you. So what I wanted to do then was just go right directly to Mike Demands, and let's hear what he has to say, and we can talk about it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike the Man. Welcome to my channel. I have just listened a little bit to the interview, the live stream by Seth Rogers, and you can see him on YouTube under Seth R. Rogers, Sebastian's father, and it's very resetting for me, very humbling having watched this, because I haven't seen anything from Seth in about 10 months, and the reason is I didn't pay attention to his statements. I did in the very beginning. There wasn't one red flag. There was nothing. There was nothing that indicated I should pay more attention to any of his statements. The one thing that, of course, I paid attention to was when he said, I think Katie may have over-medicated him and Sebastian may have overdosed. So that he thought it could be that Sebastian passed away because his mother gave him too much sleep aid. And he talked about his mother regularly giving him sleep aid at night. And as I have pointed out before, That makes perfect sense when she goes on and on about how much food he had to eat, how he gets overstimulated. You can watch my video called Who Caused Sebastian Rogers' Disappearance, where I believe that.
So I do, I always forget to do this, but I did want to just stipulate that some of the things I don't always agree with Mike the Man. Mike talks as though, hello, Juicy, good to see you. Hello, Brenda Joe. So I just wanted to put out there that we're listening for his statement analysis. I do not necessarily believe his thoughts on what happened to Sebastian. That's all speculation. We do not know. There's no proof that Sebastian is dead. There is absolutely not one iota of evidence, and all of us here at Granny's Crime Busters believe that he's alive until or unless somebody says he's not. So, yeah. I want to thank you guys for all coming in. We've already had kind of an interesting person in here already, but we'll see what happens, right? It's probably because of my thumbnail, I'm assuming. Hello, Sammy G. Good to see you. So I just wanted to make that what I really want to listen to is his statement analysis, not his thoughts on what he thinks happened to Sebastian, because I don't necessarily believe that. So is it possible that Sebastian was over medicated that night? Yes, it's a possibility, but we do not know that because we don't have Sebastian, right? We don't know. So I'm not going to give any credence to that.
The 10 p.m. thud came from experiential memory because Sebastian likely tossed and turned in his bed and fell out. And she uses language such as, don't let his face fall to the bottom, when she talks about him being forgotten, which he isn't. Don't let his face fall to the bottom of the feet. That comes also from experiential memory, in my opinion. So Seth has early on expressed suspicions and the possibility Sebastian is no longer with us. If you saw the video, the recent special, the recent interview by Katie, Sebastian is featured, Seth is featured briefly, and he talked about when you stop searching, that's when you stop hope, or something like that. So hope, of course, is now the ongoing theme for him, because even though he has his suspicions, he needs to cling on to the hope. And it is a natural thing for parents. It's even natural for
I don't either.
mothers of missing children 20 years later, still not being able to leave the house, to move away from the house, from the neighborhood where the child was last seen, because they think maybe he's going to show up. Who knows? I have to hold on to this. And what is also interesting is that all the things I have pointed out that Katie didn't say, the latest being that after a year, she has never reached out to a potential kidnapper. Never once. She has never said, if you have my son, please let him go. And sure enough, shortly into that stream, that live stream, that's now a video by Seth Rogers, that's exactly what he says. If you have my son, please let him go. please drop him off at the nearest phone so he can tell somebody, my name is Seth Rogers, please call 911 for me. And it is, of course, something he has to hold on to. And the memory, the last memory of having your child should be imprinted into a parent's mind and heart. And he talked about how he keeps reliving every memory he had with him, with Sebastian. And when you listen to Katie, she talks about the last time I saw my son was when he went to bed. But she moves on immediately to, and then I went to sleep. Shortly after was in her first televised interview. And that's what she said. Shortly after that, I went to bed. Later, it became around midnight, and she became very clear about that. Several times, she wanted to make sure that the time frame between midnight and 6 a.m. nothing could have happened from her because she was, of course, asleep. That's her only alibi.
That's crazy.
Chris's only alibi is a phone. His phone is his alibi. So you may want to revisit the investigation from the very beginning. I have asked back then, could it have been that Chris Proudfoot actually left his home in Memphis? He drove down and then drove back to be at work at 7 a.m. or something like that? Because there are conflicting statements. When did you show up for work? As I've mentioned, this was treated like a runaway case from the very beginning. Did the police fail to investigate important areas? Did they check the alibi? How well did they check it? I don't know. But obviously it seems like they are dragging their feet and probably don't want to be embarrassed because, and may I say, so many of these missing children's cases, so many of the children that get reported missing wind up being runaways. And the police really didn't know too much about Sebastian, too much about the background. They didn't at the moment, they didn't at the time when they called the non-emergency line. And again, it was a non-emergency line. And they probably asked them, hey, can you help us find our son? And the police may have not thought much of it. So yes, of course, there can be incompetence. It can also be that with all the cases, with all of the children being reported missing, and 2 days later they wind up walking back through the door because they snuck out at night to hang out with friends, drinking, or meet up with the girlfriend or whatever. Though we cannot be too harsh with law enforcement if there isn't any visible evidence that foul play was involved. But of course, they failed to look deeper into it. And now, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're telling you they don't know. They have no evidence. So all of you who think that the case is not...
Okay, so I'm going to say here, I do feel that law enforcement dropped the ball in the beginning. I do feel now that they're working it. And he's wrong. They do have evidence. Katie is saying they don't have evidence. Chris is saying they don't have evidence. But Seth says he knows they have evidence. I don't know about you guys, but I'm more inclined to believe Seth. Katie and Chris have lied to us too many times for me to want to believe them. It's just my opinion. It's the way I feel. But they have lied to us. So let me see if I'm missing anything here. Like what's more for you, most hubbies. Yeah. Yes, very. I wish she would just get on with this. And I was going to like try to go ahead a little bit, but I'm afraid I'll miss his beginning part. So that's not like him. Usually he gets right into it. I don't know why he's feeling like he has to do an overview or something tonight, but the title, you can see the title of his video up here, To Smell Him. And I wanted to see what he had to say about that particular phrase, right? Because I was surprised that she said that. I was very surprised that she said that. So let's continue.
Our closing, and an arrest should be made shortly. Yeah, I think I think they suspect the Proudfoots. Of course, I think that, but they may just be overwhelmed and say, listen, unless we have a witness or something, that case cannot go to trial. And if it does, it cannot be won. It's hard to convict. I'm pretty sure that as time goes by, things will change. Even though Katie seems to be having fun with this, just fooling people, which I think she has been doing her whole life. And now what we have is...
That is a really good point to bring up about Katie. But I will say this. I don't think she's having fun with this. I think looking at the woman that was in that interview and how red she is, I don't think she's having fun. I think she's very scared. That's my opinion. I think she's very scared and of being found out, in my opinion. But fooling people her whole life, I tend to believe that. Her mom's cousin or second cousin or something like that, Yada, had talked about how Katie she got her way once she moved in with her grandparents, and she could do no wrong in their eyes. So obviously she developed a pattern of fooling them, right? So I thought what he said there is really, really good. Hello, factory girl. LE is trying to catch up. They absolutely failed in the beginning, did not secure the scene. They let CP leave for several hours. Who make those decisions? Who did CP talk to on the first call? Yeah, I agree. You bring up some really good points. And they did. They definitely failed in the beginning. They let people walk all over that scene. My question is, when he left, did they even, check his car first or anything? I mean, yeah, it was, they didn't do anything. I mean, Seth was able to walk in there, which I understand he's the dad, but he should not have been able to walk into that home, right? He should not have been able to walk into his son's room. I'm just saying, guys, that scene should have been locked down tight as a drum. Nobody allowed in or out. So Good points, Factory Girl. Luminol, yeah, I don't know if they ever did luminol. Hello, Sissy. Good to see you. Good to see you. So tonight, for those of you who are just coming in, we're doing some statement analysis with Mike DeMann. And he's just going to be analyzing a few statements that Katie made in her recent interview.
One grieving parent who also pointed out that it made him sick to watch their interview, the Proudfoots interview. He mentioned that some people say, I hope Sebastian's spirit will hunt Katie forever. And he said, I want nothing to do with this kind of language. I just want my son back. Which is pretty much what I have said.
And sorry for stopping this so often, guys, but he's bringing up some really good points. Justice will come for Katie, no matter what. It could be said if you look at her during that interview, she's feeling it. She's feeling it. So, but I admire Seth for saying that he wants nothing to do with any kind of talk about Sebastian haunting his mom because he feels he's haunted at night, right? But it's a good haunting for him, except that it's probably not a very solid sleep pattern if all he's seeing is Sebastian all night long, and he's waking up having conversations with his son, right? You can tell that that's a father who really misses his son. But yeah, I've wanted to bring that up before. I forgot to write it down, what Seth said about people. He doesn't want it. It makes him sick when he watches those two, right? And I can understand why. I understand why he feels that way. But he's not out to just bash them or to wish harm upon them or any such thing, right? He just wants his son home. That's all he wants. He's not even talking about justice. He just wants Sebastian home. Where the rest of us want Sebastian home and we want justice, right? I mean, we just do. Yes, Sissy, I feel the same way. Most of us do. You know, could we be wrong? I suppose we could. Yes, those pictures of Katie at the vigil with Sebastian, they were incredible. It was incredible to see. It really was. I liked seeing her bending down to give Sebastian a kiss. I looked at that and I wanted to cry, thinking, what happened? What happened? 15 years ago, when Sebastian was a year, to now. What happened? How did you lose that feeling you had for him then? Or was she just going through the motions and trying? But everything within her, all of her deep-seated childhood traumas just came out and she went back to being the selfish person that her grandparents, that Gata said she was, and it became all about her and not about Sebastian anymore. I don't know. Yes, her choice in a hubby. I agree with you, Juicy. I agree. Yeah, that choice in that hubby wasn't so great, right? I'm not talking about her first husband. We're talking about the one she's still married to, right? Yeah. Yeah. I agree. you know. But did he align with who she is now? Makes you wonder.
Before in my recent video, because the anger will come later, but when your child is missing, the focus is on bringing the child back. When the child is being returned and you realize the child experienced significant trauma, then of course the anger will come and thoughts of revenge may kick in, but not when the only priority is to get your child back. And that seems to be the only priority of his. So if you want to realize what a real grieving parent looks like, the recent live stream by Seth Rogers it's a night and day difference. And he talked very little. He talked about how he is suffering, but that's not the important thing. He complained about the Proudfoots talking about what they are going through. But that is exactly what I was talking about and ending my last video with. What they are going through. It's not important what they are going through. He said, it's not about me either. It's about what is my son experiencing right now. Is he all the things that you expect? Seth said all of them. Is he being clothed? Is he being fed? Does he have everything that he needs? If you have the hope and the expectation and think your son may be alive, then you are worried about the well-being. When the McCains, for example, their language indicated that the death of their daughter has already been processed. So the maternal instinct was absent from Maddie's mother's statements, indicating that there was no more way to help her daughter. So these are things that we need to pay attention to and cannot ever overlook. And what I have ended my last video with was, we are going to find a way to recover from this very close to home. We in connect.
I realize he's not gotten to the statement analysis, but he is bringing up a really good point. Seth was talking about, what is my son going through, right? What is he going through? What is he being fed? Is he being clothed? Is he getting everything that he needs? You don't hear that from the other side, right? Hello, Jane dear. Good to see you. Yes, and this is Mike Demand. He's mostly on X. I always want to say Twitter. He's a statement analyst. I tried to find out more information and couldn't find it, but he aligns up most of the time with deception detectives. So yeah, at Texas Roadhouse, you see no love, right? Nothing. Yeah. Oh yeah. When she said that, I saw red. Hang in there. Yeah. Which, guys, have you ever used that phrase? That's a good point to bring up, K9. Guys, have you ever used that phrase? And in what circumstances have you used it, if you used it? What I have said, when I have said that phrase, it's usually to someone who I know is going through a very difficult time. And, and it's not going to end anytime soon, right? I haven't said it often, but when I have, it's been when somebody is going through a really difficult time. I will say something like, hang in there. I'm praying for you. Right? That's the time you use that phrase. Why did Katie say that? What does she know about where Sebastian is? Right, Factory Girl. Made you sick, yeah. Why did she say that? What does it did. It made me sick. I saw red, but then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I thought about it after because I wanted to listen to every word she said. So I kind of tucked it away and thought about it later. And I thought, when is the only time I've ever used that statement? It's been when someone is having a really difficult time and you just, yeah, you want to tell them, you want to comfort them, kind of tell them, hang in there, you're praying, you'll do anything you can to help them. Why did Katie use that phrase? Right? Yeah. He was struggling, right? Struggle, going through a difficult time. I mean, that's the only time you ever use a phrase like that. So why did she say that to her son on national TV? Hang in there. What do you know, Katie? What do you know, Katie? Yeah. Not to your son that's been missing for a year, but is he missing according to her? Well, Juicy, I'm not ready to believe that he's gone yet. So, I know she stopped herself. I get that. But if Seth were ever to come in here, I don't want him seeing things in chat that he's no longer with us. I want Seth to know that we're behind him in every way, shape, and form. We're going to believe with him because believing and prayer work. I'm not saying that if Sebastian is gone, he'd be raised from the dead. I'm not saying anything like that, guys. I'm just saying that if there's a chance that Sebastian is alive and he's out there somewhere, and the hang in there tells me something. Why would she say that?
Action also with the sentences before that. That's her, Katie Proudfoot, and Chris Proudfoot. They feel the need to recover from this. They. What is Sebastian going through? What kind of trauma is he experiencing? What about what he will have to deal with? What about him? There is no concern. It's all about them. And this seems to have been an ongoing conversation within their own relationship. Because when Sebastian was gone, pretty quickly after that, they went down to Mississippi to the campground to enjoy their newly found freedom. But they soon realized that they will never be free. Never. Because people care more than Chris, could have ever anticipated. Remember what the neighbor overheard him say to Sebastian, how he was being treated. He sprayed him with a water hose and yelled at Katie, "Get your little retard in the house." Chris could have never imagined in his wildest dreams that Sebastian would be searched for and missed by so many people. And it baffles him. On the one hand, he enjoys being in the center. He loves to talk. Katie knows it. And Chris, if you're listening, Katie is using you. But you are the catalyst. Katie is exploring your desire to boast because it takes the heat off of her.
Well. My goodness. I find that CP and KP can't seem to identify how another person feels. Yeah, they are very self-absorbed. And I don't think that either one of them realized how big this was going to be, right? So, the fact that Katie is using him, he really has a strong opinion that Katie is very much the catalyst of this whole thing, right?
So you proudly accept that role of the bad guy because you feel like you have something to preach to the rest of the world. And so that's a perfect person to hide behind for a sociopath who wants to say very little, who needs time to compose herself again and again, who all the time needs the break and get back to script. I'm sure that she scripted herself very well, but when it comes time for an interview, that can only go so much. And the problem is often when experiential memory interrupts her own script. And that is going to happen in what I'm going to discuss right now. So we're going to find a way to recover from this. Okay, now the switch. I'm going to watch him grow into a young man. That's a script. After the that is the time when you want to watch out for a script that is being decided, being spoken, to keep it simpler. I'm going to watch him, and by the way, the double and that's when she works herself up. Many times she uses the same word twice. And I think that is when the thoughts start to kick in. Suddenly it comes to her, she remembers what she is about to say, or should say, what she has thought about saying much earlier. And hold on, hold on, it's coming. A little more break. I'm going to watch him grow into a young man, and live the life that he deserves to have. Really. Has he lived the life that he deserved to have in your house when you let him be beaten repeatedly to the point where CPS had to be called several times, beaten with a belt? And Chris, you will never get away with this because, look, if you hurt somebody who stole your wife from you and you do your time, well, people can get to the point where they say, okay, he did his time. Now, let him be. I don't know how I would react in a situation like that if my wife cheated on me. And many people who are non-criminals, even church-going people and such, will tell you there are certain situations that yes, there needs to be punishment, severe punishment, but to be honest with you, I don't know how I would react in a situation like that. Not that murder is okay, but people will get to the point where they say, wow, let's just let it be.
Okay, with that one, I think he's going off on a little bit of a tangent, but my point, we're going to find a way to recover from this. We. Recover from it. She's not talking about Sebastian. Okay. I have no words. Yes. They thought it was going to be another missing teen. Yeah, but you know what? The eyes, that smile. And then when we got to see Green Tea, his personality coming out, we fell in love with him. And all the more when we found out, he has autism. Now we've got a child who has a special ability, okay, that you can't help but love. And yes, it went all over, Not enough people know about it yet, though. When both Chris, Katie, and Seth all say that they have run into people who didn't know Sebastian was missing, that's wrong, guys, because they're in that area. And when people in that area don't know Sebastian's missing, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Even though we know Sebastian could be anywhere. But when people from that area don't know he's missing, that's a big problem. Good point, Ginger. Sometimes a person's behavior does show the condition of their heart. We can take that on that creator who did that. We can take that as whoever did something to Sebastian. We can take that as Chris, who admittedly hit Sebastian with the belt. What's the condition of his heart? What was the condition of Katie's heart the night at TRH? I'm just saying, she showed him no attention. And there was one point where, to me, she was kind of shaking her hand at him, not hard or anything like that, but I wondered if she wasn't scolding him when she did that. I know, he's a precious soul. He really is. He really is. And how could we not fall for him, right? How could we not? And then it is just like he said, she takes her breath, she exhales, says, I'm going to watch him grow into a young man and, live the life that he deserves to have. Well, let's see what he has to say about that.
After many years of imprisonment. But that's not the case when it comes to hurting a child, Christopher Proudfoot, because even abusers of children have been abused as children, and when you proudly boast about beating Sebastian whack with that belt, they remember what they went through as children, and they don't like it. And a lot of these people are in prison. The percentage of abuse victims from early childhood in prison is, I think, significantly higher than in the general public, which is why child abusers get a really hard time in prison, Chris. They have a very hard time because that is the one sin that people cannot easily forgive.
It's
When
true.
you hurt a child, whichever way, that will not be forgotten, and that will haunt you for a very long time to come. And you are the weakest link. That's what somebody also pointed out. The weakest link will sing. I have two possibilities how this will end. Either it'll be a cold case forever, or Chris is going to turn witness against Katie Proudfoot. And Chris, anything that you will do wrong in the future, anything they can find out about you, they will get right to it and say, we can give you the maximum, or you can finally talk. And so Chris is the tough guy on these shows, on these lives. He is mentally significantly weaker than Katie. And he will break. And you have probably seen it in your childhood when bullies break. All of a sudden, there is nothing there when they have come to the end of their wisdom. And I think he's very close to that, judging by his recent interviews. And
Does he have a point here, guys? Chris was more quiet, wasn't he? Hello, Mally Cat. Good to see you. Well, those pictures at the vigil, I don't know. Were the photographs just timed, K9? Because to me, it showed a mother's love for her child. I will say that. But I do want to say what happened. Right? Good night, Brenda Joe. But what happened, right? And do you guys believe that he is becoming weaker? What are your thoughts? Because that's what Mike Demand seems to think, is that he's getting weaker judging by these interviews. And he was quieter. He hardly spoke. And he waited for Katie to give him the okay at one point. What are your thoughts? I tend to believe with you, Factory Girl. I'm not Catholic, Baptist, and neither am I. But there are many examples where God is called upon and God uses the tools deemed appropriate. And God has this. I believe so. I really do believe that God has this. And just talking about that gave me the goosebumps. So I feel like that was confirmation that he does have it, that he really does have it. And so, but tell me what you think. Do you see Chris as the one that's going to sing, that's going to break in all this and talk? Do you see him as being weak? Juicy doesn't think he's weak. She thinks he's mean. What does everybody else think? Do you think he's weak or mean? I'm curious. Inquiring minds want to know. Juicy says CP knows the gig is up. Aha. K9 says I can see him rolling on KP if it means saving himself. Yeah, I could see that. Himself and his family. Because, boy, you know, him and his mommy, you gotta. And his truck. No worry, K9. You think he's mean too, but he will save himself first. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think he is mean too. And so you think he's being just a little bit more. I think he knows that he needs to stay quiet there watching them, and he knows that, yeah. I think that the vigil spoke volumes. When you see a law enforcement officer hug Seth the way that he did, you know that they're really working with Seth, right? And when they have that kind of emotion toward a missing father, you can be sure that they are going to do their darndest, everything in their power to bring justice for Sebastian and to find him. Factory girl. I've encountered numerous of his type in my work. He will fold like a cheap suit. Yeah, I tend to think he's more bluster, right, Factory girl? I tend to think that he is Mr. Showman. He likes to, just puff it out there, put out his chest and but yeah. I almost have a vision of him crying when they're putting handcuffs on him. But that's not happening anymore, is it, Juicy? I mean, these last interviews, she did all the talking. Yeah, he doesn't seem to have loyalty. No. And welcome in, Melissa, by the way. Yes, the recognition of law enforcement and the hug, that was a big message to everyone that was watching. I don't think they planned that, Ginger, but it was a message. I don't think it was planned at all. Honestly, I really don't. You know, they were all almost done. Seth was going to go walk back, and Tony said, wait a minute, go over and whatever, but I don't think it was planned. I really don't. Yes. Me too. Hello, Jackie O. This whole interview is an act. In my opinion, they have been listening to YouTube for the past year, and what everyone says parents of missing kids should be like. Now they're trying to portray that. That's why I wanted to do the statement analysis, Jackie, because I felt that watching the interview. At first, I'll be honest, I was a little confused, like, what the heck? And then it was dawning on me, oh, She's watching Deception Detective. Maybe she even bought the cards. Or Mike the Man thinks she's watching him. I don't know. Maybe she's watching them all. But I think she did take notes. But it didn't work because Mike points out some really good things here. He points out that every time her speech wants to go into experiential memory, she stops herself, takes a deep breath, says and goes on the script again. He is so right about that. He is so right. I like what Factory Girl said. Showmen all hat, no cattle. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And they were pushing that video. They're trying to make themselves look innocent, but it backfired on them. Before they even got to which I know made SF mad. But before they even got to their interviews, law enforcement had already debunked it. Just saying. Excuse me. Thanks, Factory. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. CP saying it was time for everyone to come back to the table was very telling. Yeah. He would like that so he can try and push his narrative, but it's too late for that now. It is too late for that now. There's too much water under that bridge. I mean, they can come to the table if they want, but that doesn't mean they're going to be heard. So let's continue on.
Yeah, let's just continue with this. Live the life that he deserves to have. Also, she is appealing once again to everybody, and she has scripted herself in a way that she thinks people will be on her side. She's looking up phrases, maybe. Maybe she's listening to other people's interviews. What should a grieving mother sound like? Oh, okay, let me copy this from her and this from her and that from him. And then if I put it all together, then maybe I will sound just as convincing. But again,
Yep, that's exactly what she did.
listen to Seth Rogers. And Tony Mattis was on there as well. It was a good setup. Jennifer Coffin-Daffra as well. And you can listen to how a person who has nothing to hide is appealing for the return of his son, the only priority. The last places he's been with him, the last memories, all of the memories. Even Candace Wells at the waterhole had this moment. And I've said it before, I think that was actually an accident that led to Summer Wells no longer being with us. Of course, the transporting of the body, getting rid of it, there's, criminal guilt possibly involved. But not the crime of taking the child's life, where you don't see Katie pause at any time when she talks about the last time she brought him or he went to bed. And she immediately goes into the alibi, so-called alibi of sleeping, and then doubles down with, when I woke him up for school, that's when he wasn't there, or he wasn't there. And later on in another interview said, that's when he wasn't there. That's when I couldn't find him, or something like that. It was like that, the distancing language. And pointing out that between midnight and 6, don't even bother. There is nothing I could have done. So she says, she's expecting people to agree with her in order to move on.
Yeah, she's expecting people to agree with her. Juicy, I want to smell them. Most of us moms love, but here's the thing about that. That statement that she made, I want to just smell him. All I could think back to was he's a statement that she made, and I can't say it word for word, guys, because I don't remember it, just kind of in passing. But she made reference to the fact that he was starting to sweat and he was starting to smell, and she had to remind him to use deodorant. So when she said this, I wanted to puke. I'm sorry. Because to me, after hearing what she said about him starting to smell and whatever, and I'm thinking, I remember when she said that, I was angry with her because my thoughts were, don't you teach him to shower daily and to do the necessary things? If you have to teach him every day, then that's what you have to do. That's typical if your child has ADHD. It's repetition is key because I remember the psychologist saying it's like a big brick wall that they cannot see over. And one day you explain it to them and a brick comes down. They still can't see over it. The next day you explain it in a different way and the brick comes down. They still can't see over it. The next day you explain in another different way, or maybe in the way you did on the first day, and a brick comes down. They can't see over it. And you keep doing that day by day until they can finally see over it. And then, boom, they've got it. That is typical for ADHD children. And he was diagnosed with ADHD, was he not? Yeah, exactly. As babies, we love the smell of our babies, don't we? Right? But I don't know if she I guess it's hard to know what she was thinking, but all it did was draw me back to her other conversation about how he was starting to smell. Now, why would CP asking for special services to get involved? Does he not know that they have been involved the whole time? I know. He is fishing. He is fishing. I don't think he realizes that, yes, they are all involved. They might not be physically in Sumner County Sheriff's Office with Carter, but they're involved. I didn't have any boys, so I didn't have that problem. I like your word odiferous. uh, I agree. I don't think she has. And what is up with the word, I'd probably bulldoze him down? Guys, What is up with that word? Why would you ever use that word if you were talking about you couldn't wait to see your child, right? I mean, I'd probably say I wouldn't say I'd bulldoze him down. I I would probably say, "Oh my gosh," I'd be running to him and I'd be holding on and never letting him go. Something like that. I would never use that terminology, bulldoze. Tennis shoes need to be left outside. Yeah, I imagine, especially if they play sports. But right, Canine, you'd never use that word, bulldoze. Why would you? Oh, that's a good point, Melissa. I never thought of that. Paranoid about the house being bugged to pick up what they said. I wondered if it's because I wondered if she was disturbed about what happened there. She couldn't stay there anymore, but then it goes to a place I don't wanna go, so I haven't really thought much on that, but the police were in there, right? Yeah. Yeah. I would say I can't wait to give him a big hug and never let him go. Exactly. Three brothers and a grandson, and after a while it clicks. Yep, it does, doesn't it? I just never was around boys much. I mean, until I got married, but and I married a jock who was big into basketball, and even as an adult, he was playing basketball in a muni league, and so yeah, I mean, yuck, tennis shoes and very odoriferous. But I don't, her her wording choice really gets to me. It really does. I um bulldoze him down with hugs. And then she stops. Um Honestly, and according to Mike DeMann, when you say honestly, it really means you're lying. When I picture that, I just picture being able to hug him, to hold him, to smell him, hear his voice, to hear his laugh. But yet she thought he was goofy, and she wouldn't even take pictures of him when he smiled because he had a goofy smile. Right? Awesome, Melissa. It was different with my girls because they used it, but they didn't like mine, right? So they wanted their own brand. And I finally said, enough. If you want brand stuff, then you're going to have to use your own money for it because you're going to get what I put in that bathroom. I will always make sure you have it. I will always make sure that there's plenty there, but I can, yeah, sweaty BO. Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that totally. But let's continue on. See,
You have to accept that, live the life that he deserves to have. It's something nice to say that she picked up somewhere. And it's in contrast with a lot of other wordings of hers. Oh God, I don't even know. That was the question. What would you say to him if he was about to walk through the door? Oh God, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to speak. You see, oh God, she always invokes deity. And that is also a sign. Patsy Ramsey was very good with that as well. That's when you have to notice what they're saying. I'll probably bulldoze him down with hugs. Okay, I have talked about this previously. This needs to be also remembered. What significance could be behind that term, the choice of words? We choose our words for a reason, and in such moments like being interviewed, you have the camera on you, you have that guilty knowledge. So the script may be absolutely perfect in your mind, but the experiential memory will not go away. And the wonderful thing about this interview, the reason it is so filled with significant statements, is the fact that this lady absolutely believes the Proudfoots. And she encourages them. She actually feels like her role should be to comfort them. When she says, he's coming, you think he's coming home, right? And she takes a longer break looking at them. And Chris goes like, he nods a little bit. She is fully in support. They can never say, and that's what they love to say, these people are haters and those people are that. And no, she doesn't give him too much of a chance to even talk about people who are onto them. So there is not going to be an excuse like I had to defend myself. She is basically left there to make her long statements. Nobody's stopping her. And she has a hard time stopping herself. A very hard time. Oh God, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to speak. I'll probably bulldoze him down with hugs. Really? Okay, the bulldozer theme, yeah. Construction sites. Let's keep this in mind, okay? Honestly, yeah, right. So, what is it now that you want me to believe you're honest with? When I picture that,
So, what is it now that you want me to believe you're being honest about? That cracks me up. Okay. Well, what is it now that you want me to believe you're being honest about? He is so blunt. I mean, it's just funny. Factory Girl says, I have my oldest brother's last shirt. I got him, and I can still smell his cologne since 2021. Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing, in my opinion, is SF and his remarks about Sebastian being covered by bulldozers and dump trucks is a center mind. It's a good point. That is a really good point. I also thought about the bulldozer the mini one that Chris taught Sebastian how to use. So she definitely knows what a bulldozer is. You know, are all those things on her mind? It's not a very good picture for us. Because when you say bulldoze, we're thinking of bulldoze. Not of you running to your son and hugging him and practically knocking him over, which is what most of us would do, right? We'd be grabbing him off his feet and, that's different than bulldozing him down. When you bulldoze right over something, don't you? I'm just saying. When you bulldoze right over something. I don't know. Yeah. But I really liked his. Okay, what do you want me to believe that you're being honest about now? That's going to stick with me. I'm really trying to learn statement analysis. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't see Ginger's thing. Every Christmas, I give my son a big box of deodorant, odor eaters for his shoes, and men's body spray. That's so funny. Oh, yes, they probably are. Guys, come on. There are homes there now. And this, whatever it is, I forget the name of it that SF wants to do, is really, really expensive. Yeah. I don't believe Sebastian is buried in the concrete there. I'm sorry, I just don't. Just do not believe it. But I think you bring up a really good point. You know, is that on her mind? I mean, they've been pushing that agenda now lately, and although SF seems to be off on other cases, so I don't know. You know, I don't know what he's really doing for the case other than trying to cause distraction and trouble. And if that's what he's doing, I mean, he's doing a pretty good job of trying to. It's not succeeding, but he's given every effort. He's trying. Let's hear a little bit more.
Him walking through the door. Not this, but that. Also distancing. My child is walking in. I picture this. Would I think be much more appropriate because it would be as close to home as possible. I just picture being able to hug him, to hold him, to smell him. I mean, I just to be able to hear his voice and hear his laugh. Smell him. Do you remember? Oh yeah, here's what I was gonna get to. If you guys listen to all of these hate channels that talk about Seth Rogers without any basis, attacking him, you, how can I say this nicely? You are the reason these channels are up. So the one thing that I have been getting very tired of was people who actually try to tell me what is being said when it's not significant. There are people like Lauren who listen through Chris's and Katie's appearances on these shows and have shared with me small segments, which is something that I really appreciate. But keep in mind, if you don't have a reason to listen to these people, there is no reason to listen to these people, because your viewership would encourage them to keep on going. And
I agree with that statement. I'm just going to say every time you click in there, you're encouraging them, right? And I know sometimes it's, you want to, oh, what's going on now? Their thumbnail catches your eye. What are they trying to say here? But all it does is give them clicks and views, and it just encourages them to keep doing what they're doing. So I agree with him about that. Yeah, those bulldozer comments by KP and SF are curious for sure. They really are. I agree. The PI is making them all look worse. It is. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. You know, and remember what we said here. We're going to call those not hate channels. We're going to call those from now on obstacles, like Seth said. I just think it's easier. So here at Granny's Crime Busters, they're obstacles. Okay. I have gone on some of them, I will say, but then I thought about it and thought, you know, I always want more clicks and views because I'm a small channel. What am I doing? I I don't need to know what they're saying because it's all bull anyway. I don't need to hear it. So yeah, if we leave them alone and we ignore those obstacles, I mean, we can just climb right over them and keep on going, right? We just climb right over them, keep on and moving because it doesn't, first of all, it only makes you angry. I mean, you know, I know you do, Ginger. Oh gosh. And I used to too. I never let them know I was there. Except I will tell you this, guys. If I am in if I ever go into a channel that has GW up on panel, you know how when you do the at SRK9 mom and it goes in color? Well, the word granny comes up in color all the time. When I'm in those places. It always makes me wonder, does she realize I'm in here? So, yeah. No, but I agree. Why give them clicks and views? I've tried to stay away. Even if I am curious, I've tried to stay away just because I don't really want to be encouraging that, right? Leave the obstacles to themselves. You enjoy this channel because I can't speak, but I seldom comment on most channels. Gotcha. So, watch a little bit
And
more of this,
before
and then we're gonna.
you ever do, listen to that recent stream by Seth Rogers and then tell me if you should sit through that. Of course, if your mission is to find any kind of clues from Katie or Chris or anybody, yes, when we have a reason to do it, it's okay to suffer through it. But I do not for the life of me understand what's entertaining about those people. Because I have listened to a few short segments.
Amen.
And it was really disgusting. It's the only way that I can. I don't even have an understanding or why people would even go into their lives and their chats and argue with anything that's not even worth arguing with. I mean, how not busy do you have to be in order to do that? So please also be careful with people who are addicted to being a part of these kinds of conversations, because I have not been able to see as much important material in the very beginning as I do now, because on Twitter I follow too many people. And now I found a way to filter it so I see the people who are actually putting in some work and have a purpose behind listening to complete garbage. And believe me, if you listen to Seth and how he's pleading for the return of his son to the potential abductor, which Katie has never once done, you will hopefully not be able to spend any time listening to anybody just trying to smear him. There's nothing he's indicated that indicates that he has any kind of guilty knowledge. That's why I haven't listened to him for probably 10 months. Because why should I? Okay, I dismissed. Seth Rogers dismissed. There's nothing that I can get from his statements when it comes to figuring out what happened to Sebastian, because he doesn't know either.
That's a really good point, and I'm going to leave it on that tonight. Seth Rogers doesn't have any guilty knowledge of what happened to Sebastian. And so it does him no good to listen to him because there's nothing to hear. I know. Yes. Good point, Melissa. There are obstacles to the truth. Absolutely. And this is true too. We can thank CP for introducing to those channels because before Sebastian, it's true, guys. But I'm going to say on the flip side, before Sebastian, many people didn't know I existed either, So, I thank every one of you, right, that are here and have given me a chance. And it was because of Sebastian's case, right? So I'm thankful, but I vow never to abuse that. Never to abuse that because to me, that's disrespectful. Yesterday alone, where several obstacles were saying they were going to go to the vigil, and people were giving them money for the trip, and they weren't going. They didn't plan on going at all. That is so wrong on so many levels. It irritates me. But so, why do those people, why do they put up with that? I would never understand that. Exactly. That's truth. We have better things to do with our time. It's kind of like Mike Demand said, right? We have better things to do with our time than to listen to that. What's important is whatever topic we're talking on. And tonight it's Sebastian. Most every night it's Sebastian. And trying to figure out what happened, where he's gone, right? Without more evidence, I don't know that we'll be able to figure that out. But because we know what we know, and there isn't much more than that. We have to hope that law enforcement has a whole lot more than what we know, right? And which, on Seth's video the other night, he and Tony said they know that law enforcement has a lot of evidence. No matter what the obstacles are trying to tell us, they do have. So, To me, Sebastian is not a source of entertainment and comedy. He is a beautiful young man who could be in serious trouble. I agree. Every time I think of him, my heart hurts. You know, and I pray that he is able to come home to his dad, and I pray that wherever he is, that he is being taken care of in a good way. I have observed a few of these obstacles. Didn't stay long as there is a huge issue with diction, elocution, and little self-awareness. Very, very true. Very, very true. Yeah. And, you know, yeah, it just, after yesterday, I'm amazed that they still have subscribers, honestly, a few of them. But, you know, if some people like to listen to that, so all the power to them. They can stay over there, and we don't want them here. If that's what they want to be like, we don't want them here. They can just stay away. Oh, yeah. I like that, though. Diction, elocution, and little self-awareness. Factory Girl, you have to come back every night. We're enjoying you so much. Oh, gosh. You fit right in with us. Oh. But I did want to share with you guys my grannyism for tonight. And when we're talking about statement analysis and listening, right? Because listen carefully. The ways we speak about things is revealing. John Paul Capig. Yeah, not even going to try to say that last name. It sounds almost bad, but I double checked the spelling and it's right. So I'm not even going to try to say it. But it kind of goes along with what we're talking about tonight, right? Listening carefully and doing statement analysis. It's revealing. It reveals to us things that maybe we got a feeling about, but then when we go back and look at it, like, whoa, where, you know, and now we see that Katie has, for lack of a better word, a tell, right? A tell. Meaning that every time she stops herself, breathes in and out, and says, usually those three things go together, right? She's getting ready to go into a script, her script. So, you know, by listening, and I put the picture up there as kind of my image of what Katie was doing when she was in that interview, even though we know she had her hands in front of her. But I mean, right? I hope they're going to listen. But yeah. And it, you know, it can be about us. The way we speak about things is revealing, but you know, when we're trying to figure out if someone's telling us the truth or not, I think that's really important, you know. So, kind of like the deception detective with his cards, you know, you can tell different things, you know. trying to look for people's tells. I mean, there's just so many different things we can be looking for, right? Taking notes on and thinking about it, and something for us to think about down the road when a new case comes up that we're all as invested in as we are Sebastian's, but that's not going to happen until Sebastian is found. Right? I did want to put a plug in today. Many of you know the lawyer you know. Him and JB Buno did a video together where they talked about the Gabby Petito documentary that just came out. And they brought up some very good points, guys. It was, I love the lawyer you know. He's awesome. He's really awesome. So, K9, you're not sure you can do this again? I hear ya. Getting this invested. Yeah, I understand. I said that after Gabby, and here I am. Here I am. I don't think our hearts can stop, though. That's what I think, K9. We have a heart. And Ginger says, keep your eyes and ears open this week. Hong says, things are going to change. Let's pray this is a good thing. I hope so. Whatever happened with, what do I want to, I was going to ask this before. Oh, they were meeting with President Trump. Did anybody ever hear anything about that? Whatever happened with that? Anybody know? And I never saw them post anything. I know that bill went out. I think Trump is backing that bill, but yeah, lawyer you know is great. He's awesome. He is really awesome. Oh, it's supposed to be in May. Gotcha. Yeah. I haven't been able to watch. His name is Peter Tragos. I haven't been able to watch Peter as much as I'd like lately because I've been so busy doing content. But I miss listening to him, especially when he's talking about explaining trials and stuff like that. You can really learn so much from him. But I wanted to see what he had to say, and when he had JB Buno on, those two were the two that I listened throughout Gabby's case, mostly JB, but those two, I mean, I listened constantly. Everything about Gabby was, not that I didn't listen to others, but it was mainly those two. And so to hear them talk about the new documentary that came out and their thoughts on it was awesome. Oh, yes, he is. A little bit too young for us, though, ladies. Yeah, At Night did post on the last 6 months of work. Yeah. Yes, he is. He is not too bad to look at. I wish he talked just a tad bit slower. Not much, but just a tad bit. He talks and he listens as fast as he talks. Sometimes a little bit too quick for this old granny, but that's okay. I can't imagine. He never too old to look. That's right, K9. We aren't, are we? It's nice to have eye candy. He is, right. Yes, he's married with kids. I would never want to ever do something like that. And he has a strong faith. So, I admire him as a professional, and as a husband and father. He's a good man. He really is. And JB Buno, the same thing. Married, got a little boy. Or you have a little boy or a little girl? I don't remember. That's one diet I'll never go on. Eye candy. Oh gosh, that's funny. Oh. All right. Well, that's all I had for tonight, guys. I we could listen to more of Mike, but I don't think we really need to. I think I can only take so much of him in an evening. He's very hard to listen to. But he is very intelligent, you know. So I liked some of his points, and those were the things that I wanted to bring out. Okay. I do too. I have a sweet tooth. Yeah. I hear ya. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I hope he's not watching. That would be embarrassing, huh? Oh, you guys are awesome. So please, please hit the like button on your way out. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you guys are getting notifications when we do go live. And thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow. And I want to thank my mods too. I love you guys. Good night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.